Dear me. I don't know if there's anybody here now. Let me try and reset this everything. Hello again. Sorry about that. It wasn't anything to do with me. The internet crashed. I don't know why. Nobody's doing anything. Are we back to the stop motion? Dad's saying it does seem a little bit better. But well. I can't remember where I was. So, yeah. Well, because what happened was the internet crashed. I had to go downstairs to set it. And now you notice there's a different sort of angle on the camera because as I got up to go downstairs, I kick the camera over. So, it's all different. Yeah, right. I do apologize. Yeah, it's yeah, well, it is my live stream, so what more could you expect other than the pressing of buttons and things like that? Wow. Anyway, welcome back. Thanks for hanging around and yeah, sticking with me. Yeah, it's difficult and stressful enough. Yeah, never mind. What we're going to do, where was I? I can't find it. Right, let's have a look. I'll just try and sort out this camera and see where we went from last time, because it did seem to improve it. Nothing's changed in there. Right. Oh well, yeah, I think we were talking about painting this figure. I was on about how I was trying to make it so that his shirt was a little bit of a different texture, a little bit of a different hue to his trousers. How that I'd actually, it doesn't really come across on the camera really, but I've applied some filters to sort of change the tones and the hue in the shadows and things like that, because as I said, I don't like painting them in black and things like that. So right, yeah, let's throw me a bit now. Gin, I think I better go and change this water for gin. Oh, dear me, just nothing. It's Sunday. Right, let's try and mix up some colours. Wet palette, a big brush, a few drops of colour in here, just to see if we can mix up the right tone the right colour for his webbing. One thing about making a wet palette is that you can mix your colours, and hopefully the colours will stay usable, so you can get the whole of the figure done, rather than, because once you've mixed a colour and then you find you don't have enough, or you finish painting for the next day, you can never get back to mixing the same colour twice. I think a little bit of dark sand in there. Yep. I know that the webbing could be a sandy colour, and it probably no doubt was. It was more sandy than green. But if you ever watch, particularly something like Dad's Army, for instance, I know it's a comedy, it's BBC, it's things like that, but the uniforms that they use on there were pretty accurate. And you'll notice that there's all sorts of different colours of webbing. The webbings go from a brown to green and to a beige type colour. And it's something like Dad's Army is a pretty good sort of reference for World War II uniforms. You could see how all the colours of uniforms would change because materials came from different manufacturers. There was changes in the dyes and the availability of dyes and things, how it all became different. The same goes for the German army as well. Shortages and stuff. Now that, I don't know if you could see that. It looks a little, yeah, it looks a little bit more green than it does in coming through on the camera. But I think it's going to work out quite right, because I want to, I'm not going to paint this on, I want just to make a difference, a contrast. I want you to actually see the webbing and not for it to blend in with the uniform. Now this is where the wet palette comes in, because we can blend in here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to apply some thin coats to it. We'll start on we'll start on the main belt. I'm really going to apply it really thinly, and then build up shadow and tones and fading from there. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. That looks about the right colour. More of a green. And as Dad says later on, just in the chat there, Blanco was applied to webbing, and it was like a sandy colour. So the whole webbing type thing changes all the time, even from unit to unit. Some of them, like the RMP, will have had white webbing because they will have applied in fact they would have applied almost an emulsion paint to the webbing just to make it white, particularly the drill webbing. What I've got over here is just some water, just to actually thin down the paint as it goes on. Sometimes it may be as though you're not applying any paint, but if you put it on like a glaze and a wash and just build it up. Right, so right, I think that does look a little bit better than where it was. So I think I can now recolour these gaiters, these puttees, to match his webbing. Once again, it's a matter of not having everything the same. A little dirt, a little filter, and it doesn't look like it's then been sort of made in a factory and sprayed all of one colour. There'll be tonal differences and shades. Because we've got this sandy colour underneath, it's going to work quite well, I think, because it'll show through. And we can then build up shadows and such in that. Also as well, for some things like the clips, the buckles and things like that, it'd be good to just dry brush them, but dry brush them in just a shade darker. But see how now we've got that contrast between the socks and the puttees, and how it's changed that one colour. Jamie just made a comment there about remember seeing colour photos from Normandy, and the webbing was such a green colour. You've got to remember around about the times of Normandy, the Second World War and things like that, and even afterwards up until the 60s, a lot of photographs were hand coloured. As we see at the moment, there's a lot of these historical type pictures that have been recoloured by masters on the internet. I don't know how they do them, but they're fantastic work that they do. Now they're actually just taking assumptions for what they believe to be the colours. But I remember going to the photographers myself, or being taken to the photographers when I was a kid, and having a photograph taken, and then a few weeks later your mum and dad would go to the photographers and collect an album, and they come back and the album was full of hand coloured photographs. Once again, there was no Photoshop then. I don't know how they did it. If anybody knows how you hand colour photographs, I'd be most interested. So, cool. Let's have a look back over the chat. It seems to be holding up at the moment. Hopefully it's not too unwatchable. Yep, there's a discussion going on about the webbing between Dad, Speedy Q, Jimmy. Graham McRoberts says deck tan with a light mist of white over the top for fading. Yeah, that could be good. more about webbing and things on there. Dad says, yep, they had to black the brasses out. Yeah, I remember being in the cadets. When I was in cadets, I had to polish the brasses, which brings me to the fact about the brasses on the back of here. I still haven't decided how I'm going to do them. I'll probably think, like as Dad says, black them out. Yep. Fox is agreeing that yep, back then in the Second World War, yeah, colour film was at a premium, and photographs were being hand coloured. So I think if we get his belt done, we should be able to see a bit of a difference between his trousers and his shirt. So as I have asked before, what's everybody else been getting up to this weekend? I know it was Colin's live stream just before mine, or this one. So if you've been watching that, it's probably hopefully it's been a model making type weekend or a relaxation for the weekend. As I said, it's been with Fox not being here, it'll be a Warhammer type desert today. I do have a Warhammer somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Dave Cardboard. Hi Dave, welcome. Says, famously, Star Trek, the original series, gold tunics were actually green. And the filming process made them look gold. Yeah. But did they make them green knowing that the filming process would make them gold? Or was it just like a happy accident? Bottlemaker Guru says, do the war hamsters. I thought I had some. I think I've got some somewhere, because I got them on the front of one of those free. I've got them free on one of those first part editions of whatever it was. But I don't know where they are. I wouldn't know what to do anyway, because I don't have any of those Citadel paint type things with the really strange names. The names that I can't pronounce. And Newlin oil, is that it? Was that's one I seem to remember. There. Looking at that, I'm seeming to get the idea, the impression that I think the colours are going to be about right. By the time I put some filters and fading and things on that, it should work quite well. Because his face, I'm not too sure about his face. I'm hoping that by the time that I've added some details into his webbing and changed and added some colours and other sort of detail into him, his face is going to turn dumbed down a little bit because it does seem a little bit red. Although compared to my hand, he maybe isn't. But then again, he's in the desert, so it'd be like a Brit on his second day in Ibiza, won't it? Suntanned like a lobster. Bottlenmaker Guru says, I could just paint them like however I like. Would be fun to watch paint a Warhammer without knowing what I'm doing. That'll be me. Dad's just finished removing all the seam lines and repainting the bolter from the huge Space Marine. Now the figure. Cynical Steve says he's hoping building something a bit different will restore his mojo this week. It's been a grind and not felt like building anything. That's one reason I'm doing this, actually. I did a bit on the E-Models build for the digger. And I thought, right, the next stage I'll go to will be to do some filming on the Titanic. The Titanic's over there. I've started filming the second part of the Titanic, and then I realised that I needed some masking tape. So, because there's a shear line that goes around the top of the hull, and I tried cutting some of this thick masking tape down to 2mm, and I was just getting myself into knots and frustration. So I decided that I'd place an order with E-Models to get some, and at the same time I've put an order in for some more weathering stuff for the the digger as well, which I'll probably do a little bit of a video on that. Some of the new MIG weathering filters, shaders they're called, so I've maybe done that. Anyway, it sort of took the bit of a shine off wanting to do the Titanic, so it sort of killed the mojo a little bit, because you know how you get set up, you're all ready to go, and then something goes wrong and you take a bit of a hit. So I thought I'd pick this up, particularly as it was VE Day. I actually started this on VE Day, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a tribute. But yeah, it's quite rightly, as you say, yeah, you need to do something different just to re-kick that mojo, and I think this is doing it. Once the mailman arrives with me order from E-Models, we'll get back out and do some more painting, do the next step of painting and things like that. It's going to be all about painting the hull, making water lines and things like that. Right, let's see where else. Quallaman says he's Soldier Boy. Yeah, Tommy. I've called him Tommy because that's what everybody's. Soldier Boy looks like one of them there fellas from that there show had Wins Davis in Out the Jungle. I can't remember the name of the show. In Our Fort Mum. Yeah, lovely boys, lovely boys. Oh, that was it with Wins Davis. What was the other guy called? The little fella. And the other guy he's doing a show on TV at the moment on in a motorhome. Never mind. Wins Davis. No, can't remember his name. Frank, he goes to Hobbywood. Welcome. Hi Ted, nice to see you filling in for Fox's slot. Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying my best. It's already fallen over once. Whether it falls over again, whether we can last through until the end of the stream, whenever that may be, it'll either be I'll end the stream or it will fall over. So yeah, Yep, the answers are coming in now. Donna Still. That was the other guy. That was the little guy that sang the song Whispering Grass with Windsor Davies. Slope of water. Water. Little fella team. Paul says Dave Barker. Yes. Melvin Hayes. Cynical Steve. Yep, that's him. He's doing a series or a rerun of series in motorhomes. Last time I saw him, he was heading around Scotland somewhere. This is really difficult when you try to paint on camera and you can't stick your head in to see what the colours, where the colours are going to go. As I said, this isn't, when you're painting things like this, it's not all about one thick coat, it's two thin coats. Is that what he says? And obviously by painting it in thin coats you can slightly alter the colours of the items that you're painting. Some are thicker, some are thinner, so it gives a more of a depth to different types of material. Yeah, two thin coats. Yeah, I did pick some things up, you know. Who's going to be the next Duncan then? I've heard about this Duncan guy. Who's going to be the next Duncan? Thank you, Candygram for Mongo says this 1/20th millimeter figure is looking pretty good. I quite like it. It's really a nice sculpt, and I think if there is a nice sculpt, it makes painting and detailing 100% better. This other guy here, this is David Sterling. Yeah, it's I got David Sterling. I'll just put Tommy down a little bit. I got David Sterling out of a scrap box at Mitch's Models. I got this out of a scrap box at Telford. It is part of a bust. There's a whole bust that goes together with this, but this is just the head. I just got this as a paint pig just to practice the techniques on, and it's amazing, the details and such. As I say, if it's a nice sculpt, it makes the painting so much better. And this was just pick it up, have a go, put some paint on, which is what I would suggest yourself. If you feel like having a go at a figure like this, have a go, because there's always Dettol, there's always paint stripper. Resin figures, you're not going to harm or damage them. Have a go. If it doesn't work, take it off and start again. Yep. So yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, I know Paul does a lot from Mitch's Bottles as well. Have a look at the website. I'm not knocking them. Sorry, I'm not pushing them. I don't have anything to do with them. Just I came across a few of the sculpts. There are other people out there that do resin figures and as well, but yeah, I do find that there's a vast array of sort of figures and things like that, and genres, from sort of sci-fi to film stars. I think they're just, am I right, Paul? Do they do the the film stars of Fury, things like that? Yeah, there's lots to try your hand on, and they're not really that expensive. I think this came in about 20 to £30, which for the work that goes into it, yeah, brilliant. buy from the genuine retailer. Don't try and not buy any knockoffs because you won't find them as smooth. And yeah, they're really nice. Now, I am finding this rather difficult to paint, as I'm showing you how to do it. Alright, we'll pick another brush out and we'll give his pack a going over. Paul says that they do lots of busts that bear an entirely legally distinct resemblance to actors in the war films. Yeah, I don't suppose you can sell them really as the people they're intended to be. They could just be a resemblance, because otherwise particular people will be wanting vast amounts of money for the rights to the face. But yeah. Now what I sometimes do is when I put the paint on, I'll have, just before it dries, especially with acrylics, you don't have too long to do this, is just put some water on the brush and just pull it out. And that way it will thin your paint really to a glaze, thin it right out and bring you some detail about what's below it. And at the moment on this pack there isn't anything below it, but we'll pull the paint out just to thin it, just so that we're not building up layers and layers of paint as we work on it. Can you hear the cat? The cat. What's up with the cat? Oh God. It's probably another reason why I don't stream during the day, because everybody's about and it's never really quiet. Monday night they don't leave me alone because it's a live stream night, but an impromptu stream like this, yeah, go for it. Yeah, we had the chicken, now we've still got the cat. Cat was scared of the chicken. I've had the chicken, now just chase the cat away. One thing as well, what I have found with water pots like this, that the more you leave it, especially when it comes to weathering and painting and things like this, the more you leave it, you'll find it builds up a crust of pigments in the bottom of the bowl, and they're fantastic for picking up and weathering and applying dirt. Yeah, another happy little accident. Because especially if you're painting a figure like this in the browns and the greens and things like that, the base of your water pot is going to be full of pigments. So you can pick some of them up. They're all mixed nicely together. You pick some of them up and apply them to your figure, or just rub them in, sort of rub them in over highlights and things like that. Yeah, I would go and get the cat fox, but it's all the way downstairs and it's about 3 flights down, so I'd have to go and get it, and then it wouldn't want to come. So by applying this really thin. He's got a blanket under his rucksack, his knapsack, his haversack, whatever you want to call it. No idea what colour I'm going to paint it yet. Probably a grey blanket type thing, or maybe I'll do it in a shade of British uniform. Once again, it's all about adding some interest to what would be a monotone type figure, just all in one colour. Let's see there how it's, how even now that the belt is splitting the two, the top and the bottom. Just dry that brush off. I did clean all these brushes just before we came on air. Using the Masters brush cleaner, brilliant stuff. Now they've gone and messed them all up again, and they won't do it again. There. Yeah, let's have a look again at chat, see what people have been going on with. Without trying to press the wrong button. Everybody's saying hello to the cat. Yeah, the cat's there. The chick, I talked about the cat. Yep. Paul's telling Candygram how to use his Dettol. Just dunk it in, splash it in. Frankie goes, we would never tried figure painting. Yeah, go out and do it. Brilliant. You'll find it's painting figures on this size is a different technique to painting figures on a 1/35th scale figure. It just is. I'll try to think of a way to explain how it's different. There's more detail in these. There's more you can work with. I really wanted to paint this figure in oils, as I've done this one. This was done all in oil. This is Gru, is it? Gru from Minions. This guy was done in oils. Painting in oils is different again to painting like this, because whereas we blend all our colours in the wet palette, with painting in oils you can actually blend and paint. There he is. You can actually blend and paint on the figure itself and work it. So yeah, this, I think this was perhaps my first life-sized larger scaled model that I painted. Let's go down a little bit. Dad's saying what's on your bench and what's on your belly. Yeah, I did ask what people were doing today and what did you have for lunch. Is Sunday the time for a Sunday roast, and do you have Sunday roast at dinner time, lunchtime, or do you have Sunday roast at 5 in the evening time? Yeah, so we haven't had Sunday roast. In fact, tonight it will be Chinese, I believe. Bush. And I've brushed that out too much, so we can play it again. I'm just what's happening here is that he's going to be a little bit of a fold in his canvas rucksack. So we're just trying to brush into that, the fold itself, just by brushing some another layer in, and then we'll just build it up on that. Oh, Stu Pot says he has no bench, he's not built it yet. Model Maker Guru says a belly, still a roast beef later on, bench Fallout 4. He's moved on and now clearing out the Arc Jet system offices of protections on, I think, feral ghouls, whatever that is. I think that's probably Warhammer. Paul says bench 148th Warhog. Homemade baked Icewell cookies. I did see a picture of Paul's Bakewell cookies. Send me one. Teddy model. You know where I live. Stu Pot says the boss is cooking a pork loin with a full roast trimmings. Yes. Just send me your address. I'll be around. Social distancing. You can serve me in the garden. Jimmy says normally he has Sunday roast at 12, but as it's as his mum's working, they're having it at 5. Paul says he has a Sunday roast at 5 because he can't be bothered cooking the roast early in the day. I think you've got to get up early or plan ahead. Fox says his roast beef tonight's delivered from a local restaurant. He's promised Mama Fox that it's one of those Ponzi small portion things, and he will order a Chinese afterwards. Have it all, yes, get it all. And as Dad said, not many likes yet. If you like what you see, yeah, let us know. I might come back. Yeah, and if you don't like it, I might come back anyway. Stu Potts has loved how he needs to hand to build the has to build his room first, and then the stairs. Wayne says he used to have roast at 3, then there's these live streams started, so now to have it later. Yeah, well, you can watch it up. Yeah, it upsets the family when you try to watch a live stream across the table, especially when they want to watch the afternoon Sunday film or live from Palladium, things like that. I was going to try this with totally the wrong brush. Model maker Lewis was belly was roast pork as always, last at dinner time. A bench, a figure of a lady. Oh. Wayne Hayward's belly leftover sweet chili chicken pizza. Bench two imperial assault ATSTs. Is that right? And I'm just painting here with my tongue out. Hang on, sorry. Yeah. One thing with your wet palette, you can pull in bits of paint. Like when you saw me mix this up earlier, never put one paint on top of the other. Always put them to the side so you can drag your paint in and then mix them in the middle. So you like got 3. If you're mixing 2 paints, you've then got 3 piles. 2 of the original. I've just got a little bit of the original sand here left, and no, I had 3 paints here, didn't I? So there's the green and the sand on one side, so you can just drag some of it in if you want to change the colour a little bit. That's what a wet palette's all about, and all about blending. And obviously painting intricately means that you have to have your tongue out to one side. There we go. I'm going to have to touch this up later when I can get really in close with a magnifier. Or take a photograph of it, and then you can see where you need to paint. I was at a bit of a loss to when I was persuaded to or talked into doing a live stream as to what I should do to keep you entertained and unoccupied, because I couldn't really work on anything from the E-models builds, because I wanted to save them really for the videos. I didn't want to particularly start anything else, so I do hope that this is acceptable. Don't forget to ask questions as well. About anything. Doesn't have to be about modelling. That's not what these shows are about. It's just being us guys in the pub, which is closed, a virtual pub which isn't closed, and do our best to stimulate conversation and informative discussion. Chris Balchin, welcome back. Yes, my internet fell over. That's what happened. That's why I disappeared. Glad you found me back. Hopefully, I'm still hoping that the video isn't as choppy and things like that. As I'm told, it's not as bad as when I left it the first time. So glad you found us back anyway. So yeah, I'll have 2 live streams on my channel now. And if you want, I might be talked into doing one of these again. So just a bit of a pimp. So like and subscribe. Click the bell down here somewhere and get notifications when I next get a video up and running, or if there's another live stream in the offing. Because I feel like probably after the live stream's finished, Fox will call me into his office to give me some instruction how to make it better. You know what it is when you go into the boss's office. That was very good, but you know there's something coming when there's the but. God, the noise around here is just horrendous. Everybody's at home. Right, let's have a look back in the chat before I forget again. Right, well, I think we're up to there. Right, Stewpot says he would love. Oh, we've done that bit, yeah. Then there was Wayne about the live streams. Billy was roast pork. Right, Grey McRobert, I think that's where we're up to. On the bench, building a Kawasaki Ninja while watching. Thank you, Graham. I do know, yeah, the Kawasaki Ninja. I do know about that motorbike. I remember it being because it was like a fluorescent green type colour, or it could be. You could paint it black as well. Wayne Hayward says belly leftover sweet chicken pizza. Oh, I think we've done that one. Yeah, I'm in top chat. No wonder nothing's going right. Right, I think Frankie goes to Hobbywood, a belly, mashed potatoes, green asparagus with bacon, onions and grilled venison. Oh yeah, all posh, yeah, venison. Not like the rest of us, bit of chicken, bit of salad, anything like that. Venison. Yeah. Caraman says he's just had a wacky idea for his 1/12 scale Star Wars collection. An Imperial officer with a Windsor Davis head, face and moustache. Go for it. Anders says belly spaghetti bolognese. Bench tried out Ted's way of painting wood with a buff base. Turn it darker. How did it go? Yeah. I did some wood painting the other day. I painted the rifle. Granted, it's a different colour to probably the light bases that you're doing, but yeah, if you really want to have a look at this, go across my Facebook page, Skipper Scale Models, and have a look. Yeah, that's done as we described the other day with glazes and washes and things like that, and I must admit it has turned out fairly well. No, can't really say it. Can't see the detail in that, but yeah, I've got some pictures over on my Facebook page. And then Chris came back in. Shoepot says he can't imagine Windsor's ever seen May the Force be with you. Fox says we'll run through some settings later. Yeah, I thought I had them all set right. It's because I think they're all set right on OBS, and then as I've imported Streamlabs, as I've set up Streamlabs and imported things across, I don't think everything came across. Right, Lord Barclay the Third. Hello. Yeah, welcome to the live stream from Ted. Yeah, don't adjust your set. Don't adjust the set. Ted's live. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, Fox couldn't get here today, so I'm here instead. Yeah, with all the failures and everything else goes along with Ted and his live streams. Oh, I've just painted my mat. This is my filming mat. You see the two lines across it for the when I get the camera set up, it marks the boundaries of my camera, so that's what that's all about. Yeah, but I've just painted it. Fortunately, it come off because it's it's the one I try to keep clean for filming on, because I've got the other mat. It's over here. That's a dirty mat. That's guaranteed. Every time you get a new mat, within the day, it's got something spilt on it. You always, yeah, clean mat. I want to keep it clean. What? At least I haven't dropped a model in the palette. No, Yep. Not yet. As we said, if you were here earlier, painting with a palette is all about building up in layers, blending, building up, and then you can apply your shading, your colours. And just work. You can work for a lot longer. And just still can work on all areas of it. Try not to restrict yourself just to the one area. Just work around it, and you can see how things chipping fluid, airbrush, chipping fluid, some filters. Needs to be just finished on the inside. Jamie's off, got to get some food. Good on you. Thanks for coming in, Jamie. Hopefully might do this again sometime. Let's have a look back in the chat. Dad says when he put his painting mat down he rusted the oak stumper. That was a mess. Yes, anything to do with pigments, keep it well away from your best mat because you'll never get them off. Put the pigments on a model, yeah, it'll brush off without even looking at it. Get it on your mat, it's there forever. Yeah. See how we're building up the fold in the knapsack there. Difficult to paint and talk at the same time. So Anders, how did you find the painting of the wood with the different layers and things? How did you get on with that? Don't forget, if you have any questions, if you want to know anything about me, anything about what I do, anything about what I plan to do, just drop a line and we'll see where we go. Is this figure going to be standalone or is it going to be on a diorama? As always, I always start off with the intention of, yes, I'll build this and then I'll put it on a diorama and I'll do this with it and then be magically brilliant, and It will be the best model I've ever done, and I can't wait to build a diorama because I could do this with it and that with it, and I could display it to its best, and then I never get around to it. I usually get it finished. I think, right, that's that done, on with the diorama. Oh look, a shiny model, and it never happens. I think the last diorama I did was for my Matador truck, and that's only because I'd already bought the base for it, and I didn't want to waste my money, so that went on a diorama. That's the last one I've done. All I'm thinking of doing with this guy, if it does, if I do get round to it, I'll just put him on a plinth and maybe some just desert type base on it and a few little rocks, and then on a plinth, because I think putting him in any more than that would detract from the actual model itself, or the figure itself. It's the figure that's the centerpiece of this, so not the diorama. Just so yeah, probably that's what I'll do with him. Yeah, Dad says he holds his breath while he paints. Yeah, I've got a habit of doing that myself. Yeah, you don't notice it. That's probably why I stopped talking when I'm painting, because yeah, I'm holding my breath. Anders said it worked out well. Liked how it's possible to alter how dark you want the wood. Yeah, once you've built the wood, once you've painted the wood as well, you can sort of start, and that's where you can add the weathering. Like if it was a post in the ground, for instance, if it was like that in the ground, what you could do, you could start and build some greens up, sort of a wash with some greens as well, as sort of an algae type washing up from the rain, or bouncing up from the rain, and you could darken it down in the base as well with some black washes and things like that. That works. They're particularly good if you're building like a fence. It's a bit hard to explain, but go out and have a look at your garden fence and see how the rain has splashed up sort of the muck and the mud onto the fence. Good. Model making trucker. What made me choose the name Skipper Ted? Part of that old job was that I was on the marine unit. I was in charge of a group of yeah, sorry, I'm just painting. Yeah, I was in charge of the marine unit, so I was the skipper, and it did take a little bit until I sort of fell on the right name, and then it just came along and it just seemed to fit. Plus, I had an interest in that time of all things nautical and boats and ships, and I think I had been building at the time radio control boats, so I sort of chose the name and it just sort of stuck. It just seemed to fit. It became easy. It's an easy one to remember. I think it's an easy one to find as well, especially if it's being searched for on YouTube or anything like that. Some of the names that we do see around, you've got to. I didn't realize it at the time, but you've got to. If you're going to go into YouTubing and things like that, you're going to have a name that's going to be fairly easy to find, that's going to spring to the top of any search engines that you might put in, and not have to scroll through lists and lists of similar sounding names. So yeah, but that when I chose the name, that wasn't high on my thought process. But yeah, Skipper Ted became about because of what I used to do. And yeah, and that after that the logo came along. I think I found my logo on a website. I was just searching through for logos, and then there's a website called Everything for a Pound, or something like Everything Under a Fiver, or something like that, something like that. And I think for a fiver I got somebody to design and send me the logo. It just saved me messing around with it, really, because I had various other type logos and they didn't seem to fit, so I just thought, well, for a fiver I can pay some graphic designer to design me one, and here it all is. So that's it. Quanaman says, how long have I been doing modelling type stuff? I've been doing modelling type stuff since as far back as I can remember, quite literally. I do remember the first ever model that I built was a Lancaster bomber, and that was with my dad. I can remember that must have been the first house that he and Mum ever lived in. It was some of the flats over on Barrow, so that's how long ago that was. So I must have been quite literally 2 or 3 years old, just within living memory, just within my memory anyway. And from then I didn't really take any interest in modelling until about late primary school. I do remember you had to go and you did a show and tell. Well, it wasn't called show and tell anyway, because that's an American type thing, but it was like, you can bring in something to show the class. And I remember taking in an Airfix model that I'd made. It was Monty's Humber. That's how old that was. That's how old that kit is, because I was in primary school and I remember taking that in. It was glued together with tube glue. Then after that it was painted with, I think, a number 2 brush, one colour of Humber enamel paint, and yeah, it must be, yeah, well, I thought it was great because I took it into school to show the class. Then after that I can't recall anything else model related until must have been about 1990s. I took up again some modelling, and it was a radio controlled boat. I just happened to pick up a model boating magazine, and in it was a free plan for a model boat. Just built out of balsa wood. It was a little sort of like, it was supposed to look like a steam puffer, but it was very stylized, very sort of basic. And I built that. I just built it out of balsa wood, bits and pieces that I had at home. I had no idea how I was going to radio control it, because I thought you just built it and sail it and that was it. But that sort of got me restarted again on modelling. The next thing I built after that was a an MTB, a 1/35th scale MTB. That was once again scratch built, built out of balsa wood, and I added a few figures to it. and that used to sail. Yeah, I eventually did get into putting proper radio control in these type boats, and that used to sail around the lake at huge speeds. And because it was camouflaged, because it was painted grey, used to lose sight of it. Many time I'd lose sight of it, and you don't think about turning off the controls and stopping it until you found it again. You just used to keep it running until you did crack as it hit the side of the pond or somebody else's boat. But that was that, and then from there on it just developed. I just started building bigger and bigger boats. I started entering competitions, model boat competitions up down the country. Blackpool was one of the big events that I used to go to. Anybody's into model boating, they'll know of the show that used to be at Blackpool Tower. And used to go to Ellesmere Port, places like that. And then eventually I started winning prizes. Not because I think it was more about the taking part. Well, everybody says it's about taking part. I just used to put my boats in the competition just to really help me develop on what I was doing, because you used to get some good feedback. So eventually I started winning prizes, and then from there I was asked to be a judge, rather than would have stopped winning prizes and would have liked to become a judge. So that's how that happened. And then kids came along, work, things like that. So and the boats started getting too big, so I left modelling for a little bit until I started coming back into this. I think one of the first models I built after coming back into it was my little Scorpion. It's an ARV truck. It's an AFV kit. Looking a bit dusty at the moment. AFV kit, some of the figures in there, and that's probably one of the first kits I did after I came back into the hobby, and then started building again, and that's where I am now. Everything else is, as they say, history. So I'm pretty glad I have come back into it. Yeah, I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I think since I come back into it, and because of the internet and things like that, it's become a lot more accessible. At one time, modelling was a solitary type hobby, but now live streams like this, you can interact with other people, which is what I like doing. I like interacting. That's one of the reasons why I enjoyed being a judge in the model boat section, because I could interact with other people and sort of give ideas, tell them what to do. Well, not tell them what to do, show them what to do, how they can improve things, give feedback on whatever model or kit they'd put into the exhibition, and that's what I like about it. Right. Anyway, let's have a look back through the chat. Lord Barker said he'd look quite nice with a bit of barbed wire at his feet. Yeah, I think I'll have a think. I'd just like to keep it basic. Connor says hello, says Model Making Trucker. Yeah, hello. Hi Connor. Say hello to him for us. Dad said if I came to Ellesmere Port, his old neighbour used to sail his warships there. Yeah, they used to sail them over on the canal. Ellesmere Port was a huge model boat show. Chris Balchin says those tube glues were awful to use. Yeah, so horrible and stringy. How we ever built models with tube glue, I don't know. Cool. So, yep, sorry, rabbiting on. Once I get worked up and talking away, I seem about going forever. But yeah, please ask plenty more questions. I think I'll keep this stream going for another 10 minutes or so. So, if you have anything you want to ask or see or talk about. Yeah, there used to be model shops all the time at the. I don't know if you mean the quay or the visiting stands that used to come to the show, Dad. I don't know. I don't know of any model shops within Ellesmere Port or what there used to be. Now we can see now how the detail in him starting to pop a little bit as we're working on this webbing, just by painting the webbing in the green colour. I sort of started to bring him out a little bit and show him off to his best. There's a little bit more work to do on him yet. Once I get the base coat down on the webbing, I can start with the filters and the shading and everything like that, working underneath here the flaps of his ammunition pouches and things like that, shadows around where the belt meets his clothing, and obviously one or two touch-ups. And I think that's a brush that's overworked itself a little bit. Sometimes if you're working away with a brush too much, it can get overloaded with paint and it will just need cleaning out again. Especially down into the ferrule. Cool. Well, I think that's about it for today. What I'll do, I'll go and continue with this. If you want to see how he progresses, just come across to Skipper Scale Models on Facebook, and I'll be posting some updates and things on there. Yeah, I think we've improved him just a little bit. That's what, an hour. Right, I think for now. Andy, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we did restart after my internet crashed. Appears I didn't press any buttons or anything. Yeah, just an internet crash. That's what threw it all out. But we're so sorry for that. We'll now go away and have a rethink on this and rethink on the live streams and things like that, and try and polish a few things up. Never know, I might be able to convince me to come back and do it again sometime. But thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you liked what you saw. Maybe just me rattling on a little bit and slowly painting, but for next time we'll see if we can do something else. But in the meantime, thank you very much anyway, and we'll see you all again. Okay, bye.